We good? We good, guys? We good? We're live or what? I think we are. Someone say hi in the chat. Alright, sweet. We're live. Alright, 1 second. Let me just sort this out. How we going? What are we drinking, boys? What are we drinking? Should I actually get some vodka? Should I get some drinks in me? Should I do it? Alright. I'll be back in 1 sec. I'll get some drinks. Hold up. Wait, get your drinks out, boys. Get your drinks. Green juice, coffee, rum and diet. Yeah, I'm feeling the need for a little something this morning, to be honest with you. I'll get some Jack. TM might be a bit tipsy this morning. Alright. Sort this out. Jack and Red Bull, is that a weird combination? Whiskey drinkers? I think it is. I think it's very strange. I don't know if I'm man enough to do straight Jack though. That's a bit. Maybe I'll just. Oh, let's go vodka. Alright, sweet. Alright, I figured I'd get a drink this morning. You know, it adds to the atmosphere a little bit. Alright, so let's get into it. Let's get into it, boys. I don't drink. I'm off work in about an hour. No worries. Alright, sweet. So Bitcoin, yeah, we've got the screen up there. Bitcoin has had a bit of a pump in the last, I haven't even checked. Let me see. In hourly speaking, last few hours actually, last couple of hours, it's pumped out of the descending, broadening wedge formation. And, you know, we've moved upwards. And interestingly, we've moved upwards past the 2017 all-time high. So the 2017 all-time high, which is back here in, 19,500-ish. And we'll make that line pink just for the sake of clarity so you know exactly what I'm talking about, because I know I've got a lot of red lines up. We've pumped past that. And it's interesting, right? Because that was previously a very strong resistance. And on the daily chart, it still is a very strong resistance. We see in 2020 here, 19.5K, 2017 all-time high, has been a pretty strong resistance on the daily chart. And then moving across, it's been a relatively strong resistance, but we've started to kind of deviate from it. And it's getting to the point where it's not really that difficult to break past anymore. I mean, we've moved through up and down this a few times here. We can see there's still conglomerates of areas. I guess I couldn't have chosen a more complicated word to use in that situation, but there's still areas here where it is holding for support, for example, just a few weeks ago. But essentially now, what we've done, we've come above it. We haven't actually closed above it yet, but we've come above it on the daily candle. It would be interesting to see if we do manage to close above it, because although it is a vague resistance at this point, it's not as strong as it was as support resistance. It is still a resistance. So the next 21 hours should be very interesting, right? Because every time we've broken above this so far, and all we need to do is take a look, right? Every time we've broken above it after dropping below it, we see a bit of a pump, right? So we dropped below it here. When we got above it, we saw a pump of around 12%. We dropped below it here. When we got above it, we saw a pump of around 18%, and so on and so forth. Got below it here, got below it, and then got back above it, 28% pump. And even just as recently as 2 weeks ago, when we dropped below it, we got back above it, we saw a massive pump of around 16%. So if we do get back above it, we do close above it 19.5K, above 19.5K, which again, above the 2017 all-time high, we could very well be in for a retest of this downtrending yellow macro line that's stemming from November. And we all know what, the importance of that is. In fact, I've had a bit of a massive part of my buying plan based to that. Now, we'll get to some of the comments in a second, but I want to keep going here just for Bitcoin for a little bit, just to get it all out of the way. So essentially, that macro downtrending line is the basis of quite a lot of my buying plan. my buying plan is based on that in quite a massive sense. And my buying plan is also based, of course, on the 4-year cycle theory. If you're watching this stream, you know what that is. But we've got multiple levels here that are very important. That, the macro downtrending line tells us a lot about those levels, right? Because essentially what happens is this, right? We're expecting, I'm expecting personally, I know a lot of people are more bearish than me. I'm expecting one of these 3 levels to hold to be the bear market bottom, right? 17.5k, 13.8k, or 11.5k. One of those levels will hold, in my opinion. And what the macro downtrending yellow line does is it gives us a date range for when those levels will hold. Because essentially this, right? If we're, going downwards in price action, and say, for example, we bottom out at 13.8k, which is the second line, we have to make a move once we reach that macro downtrending line. We have to either go down further or we have to go up. And eventually we're going to have to go up. We're going to have to break it eventually. So when we do, that gives us an indication of when the bottom will be, right? For example, if we go down to 11.5k and we bottom out around there, we're going to have to break that line, and that would, in a sense, try and partially confirm the bottom, right? And that would list the bottom to be in. So regardless of where the price is, right? If you assume that Bitcoin will bottom out above 11.5k, which a lot of people are willing to do, some people would even say it bottomed out at 9k. All right, let's just say for argument's sake that Bitcoin bottoms at 9k, which is a lot more bearish. I don't think that will happen. I don't think it will go that low, but some people think it does. So even if you assume that, the latest Bitcoin could bottom out is December 14th. Now, of course, you could make the argument that breaking that macro line would not confirm the bear market bottom, in which case you would be entirely correct. But breaking that macro line, a 12-month downtrending line, would do a lot to confirm the bear market bottom. It wouldn't quite confirm it. What would confirm it is a break above 28.6k. What we see in bear markets typically is the following. We see horizontal consolidation. We see one catastrophic dump below the horizontal consolidation line, and when we get back above it, we get into kind of bull market territory, or at least out of bear market territory. Same thing in 2018, horizontal consolidation, drop below it. When we get back above that horizontal line, it confirms the bottom, we get into out of bear market territory. And the same thing here, horizontal line, drop below it, and when we get back above that line, which of course is at 28.6k, that would fully confirm the bottom is in. But the macro downtrending line would give us the steam necessary to get back to 28.6k, and it would give us the steam necessary to start breaking some other critical lines, like for example, the 200-day SMA, the 200-week SMA, bull market support band. If we can bring that up as well, there's a lot of things that could give us the steam to break through. Now I'll keep going just for 5 more minutes here, and then I'll get into some of the chat comments. But I do have a few more things I want to talk about. So why have we seen this recent pump? Why has that pump happened in the first place? Well, to me, it's quite simple. It might not seem that way, but essentially it was a bullish market pattern. I mean, there's no denying that. It was messy. It was very messy. And we've seen so many fake outs below and above these structures. There's 2 structures within each other. But the fact of the matter is it was a bullish market pattern. In fact, it was 2 separate bullish market patterns because we had a descending, broadening wedge formation, which is very bullish. In fact, it's one of the most bullish market patterns you have in TA. It breaks the upside around 76% of the time. If you're part of the course, you would know that. But we also had a symmetrical triangle formation. Of course, symmetrical triangle formations in downwards trends are bearish, but since we were in a larger bullish structure, I would say that was bullish as well. And we broke the triangle to the upside, entered a trade last night. Still in that trade at the moment. I should probably get out of that trade. I was honestly expecting to get out at 19.5k, but we crushed it so quickly that I didn't even have time. But I'm still in that trade there, so I might just move the stop loss up. But essentially, after we broke that symmetrical triangle formation, I knew it was over. So that's good. And it's kind of expected that we broke to the upside there. In the meantime, as that's been happening, the chances for a 50 basis point hike in the next FOMC decision has gone up from 27% to 32%, which is good news as well. I don't know exactly what the S&P 500 is doing. I haven't checked this morning. Let me check. Yeah, so the S&P 500, and this is another reason why we would have gone up in the short term. The S&P 500 has actually reached the level it reached in June. So it's reached its it's reached its local low. It's retesting its low. And there is a chance that we do see a sharp double bottom. Now, do I think we'll see a double bottom in the S&P? Nah, probably not. But the point is, when you reach a major support zone, you at least see a short-term bounce. And so we could continue to see a short-term bounce here, and Bitcoin could actually go quite high, right? But the most important line to watch right now, and I'll bring it back to this because this is the overarching kind of thing you need to be watching. The most important line you should be watching on Bitcoin right now, 100% guarantee, is the macro downtrending line from November. If we do manage to break that, that's a very good indication. And obviously, as per our buying plan, if we do manage to break that, you'd have to... Where is my buying plan? I think I put it on another page here, somewhere around here. As per my buying plan, if we do break that yellow downtrending line, we have to close above it. Remember, wicks don't really... they're not very important. They don't matter too much. We will be buying something, and I'll have to adjust that if it does happen. Now, I personally think we'll see a rejection, but it is interesting, right? So short term, market's not looking too bad. And there's lots of reasons for that pump to happen, and it did happen for those reasons. So let's get into some comments now. Now that we've got through most of that Bitcoin analysis, we've got a lot of comments here. I'll try and get some questions out. Should I short from 19,600 or re-enter? I personally wouldn't be shorting at the moment simply because there isn't much overhead resistance until we get to that macro downtrending line. I think the macro downtrending line very much is the next real overhead resistance. And, you know, you can see that if you go to the daily chart, for example, and let's just see what we got here. There's really nothing. There's really not much, right? And in fact, the stuff that is there lines up pretty well with 20.7K, which is where the macro downtrending line is. We've got, for example, this horizontal resistance line that's acted as a daily candle close resistance at 21.6K. It's a little bit high, I suppose. But we've also got some resistance at 20.7K here. So, you know, the next resistance horizontally lines up with the next resistance diagonally. So I would expect Bitcoin, provided nothing abstract or abnormal happens, I would probably expect Bitcoin to get up here and start retesting that macro line. I think that is necessary. That's probably what's going to happen. Now, if we do drop below 19.5K again, which is the 2017 all-time high, you'd completely throw that scenario out the window. So we're going to be seeing within the next few hours. So that's interesting as well. But if you are in a trade, I would recommend setting a stop loss below 19.5K. Perhaps not just setting a stop loss, but perhaps actually waiting for it to drop below that region and waiting for a couple closes, because we have seen fake outs below it in the past. It's not exactly a very precise resistance. It's more of kind of a vague one. So that's good to be aware of. What do we got here? Opinion on Chainlink. Fundamentally, I don't have an opinion on Chainlink, but I can actually look in the chart for you. And that's what we're going to be doing today. I do have a few things I want to show you guys as well. I have a few trading setups that I came across this morning. I'm sure probably one of them has actually broken to the upside already. But yeah, I'm interested to show you guys that. Let me just fix this up. Yeah, so I made 3 of those this morning on BitGet, and we can get into those if you're interested. I think we've got a soup chat. Ronco, you're a legend, man. Thank you. Thanks for the donation. If you have a question, feel free to chuck it in, by the way. If you're going to donate money, you may as well have a question as well. And I'll be happy to answer that for you, of course. So let's see. Chainlink. And go ahead and chuck your altcoin recommendations in the chat. I'll choose a few of those. I'll look into the coins, whatever. Yeah, so Chainlink, it looks like I've already charted up. Okay, I've already charted up Chainlink here, just coincidentally. And it seems like I probably charted up a few weeks ago, but it's still in the same structure. And as a matter of fact, this is... Look, you know, I'm not going to say it looks good or bad, but the point is we've got this structure here. We've got asymmetrical triangle formation on Chainlink, and obviously it's just a very simple formation. Generally speaking, what I do with trades is I make the yellow lines for the entry zones, and I make the red lines for take profit zones, and I'm assuming that's what I've done here. And so what I would have done, what my theory would have been with Chainlink is essentially this. And if you don't have this on your Chainlink chart, you should probably get it up because it could be an interesting trade. My theory would essentially have been this, right? If I'm going by what I generally do with trades, break the yellow line, go to the red line. Break the yellow line, go to the red line. You know, and so on and so forth. So that's the structure for Chainlink. I mean, that's pretty convenient. I already charted that up. What do we got? Love the stream. Thanks, mate. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing live streams about... Do you like the chat? By the way, do you guys like the chat on the screen? Yes or no? Is that a bit disorientating, just having random chat logs come up? Should I delete that? I think I should. I'm going to delete it. How do I do this? Hold on. Because you can always just look at the chat to the side of your screen. You don't really need to have it like directly on there, of course. All right, 1 second. But yeah, as I was saying, I was thinking of doing daily live streams or maybe 6 days a week. And then what I'll do is I'll have, like I just did before, if you're not here for the start of the video, you can go back and rewatch it. But I do kind of like I just did like a 10-minute video within the live stream. And then what I'll do after the live stream, I'll go ahead and cut up that video and it will act as a normal Bitcoin video and I'll post it to YouTube. And then I'll delete the live stream replay. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of that as well. I think that's a pretty interesting idea. Let's see. Bitcoin is pushing up tonight. Where do you see a good short entry to catch the next move down? Yes, of course, as I said before, the perfect entry. In fact, we can actually make this a proper signal here, because I think this is worth making a signal. We'll get into this. So what I'll say... Why do I drink vodka? I hate drink... Okay, anyway. I actually hate vodka. Should have had the whiskey. Anyway, point is... So we've got a signal here, okay? Because a macro downtrending line that's lasted 12 months. From November through to here in March and April, through to here in the recent retest here in early September, early this month. Has been tested on 3 separate occasions. In fact, if we look into it on a micro scale, right, that's a longer term scale. Micro scale, it's been tested like 10 different times. It's a very strong line. It's strong with time and it's strong with retests. And therefore, when you have a strong line like this, yes, eventually is going to break to the upside. But what is the trend, guys? The trend is, of course, the friend. And when the trend is your friend, you have to follow the trend. And the trend at this point in time is we get rejected from that line. And hence, what you can do is you can create a trading signal around that. So, what you need to do to create a trading signal is this. You need to identify what would constitute a break above your trading signal for short and what would invalidate it. An invalidation of the short position would be a break above a daily candle close above the yellow line. And so when we retest this line, you could enter a short position. And if we close the daily candle above the line, that would be an exit, like a stop loss kind of thing for your short position. Now, where would be the take profit for your short position? Well, assuming we get rejected from the line, right? Assuming we get rejected from the line, there's really no reason to believe we're going to go any, we're going to bottom out any higher than 17.5k. We should realistically test 17.5k. But if you're conservative, what you could do is you could label out or list out the nearest support zone, which would act as your take profit for that short position. And the nearest support zone, of course, is 19.5k, the 2017 all-time high. So what we can do is this. We can actually go ahead and move this line, this red line, up to 19.5k. And we can say, and you can set your targets or whatever, you can set your buy-ins. You can probably just look at the chart and buy in when it does happen and set an alert. When we retest this yellow line, you'd enter a short position, okay? The stop loss for that short position would be a daily close above the yellow line, and the take profit would be 19.5k. And then you pretty much set yourself up for, depending on the leverage, a free 50% trade. And if you lose the trade, if it does close above the line, you're going to be losing, I don't know, probably what, 10%? The point is, that's a pretty strong trade. And especially if you don't think the bottom is in yet. Because if you don't think the bottom is in yet, there's no reason for you to think we'll break that yellow line. So that's a pretty strong trade there. There's a free short position for you guys. Trading, I think people overcomplicate trading. I don't think it's that complicated. I really do not think it's that complicated. I think if you want to become a professional trader, you have to make it complicated, because every little piece of complication gives you a little bit more chance of it playing out in your favor. But if you're a simple trader and you just trade occasionally, all you really need is market patterns and an understanding of support and resistance zones. And that's all you really need. Yes, your probability of success is not going to be as high as a professional trader who understands every little thing. Of course not. But it would give you a decent probability of success. And that's my opinion, at least. What other comments do we got here? I'm just scrolling down, working through the comments. I'm just getting... so I'll get to your comments, by the way. But I'm just working through the good ones. Cal says he's starting some shorts. Yeah, look, I wouldn't be doing that just yet. Chances of Ethereum retesting the 800-ish level, we can take a look at Ethereum. For sure, we can take a look at Ethereum. I want to go over Crypto Crew University's claim as well some point in this video. And of course, as I said before, I have 3 altcoin setups that I want to be going through in this video. So I can potentially turn those into miniature videos and post them to the channel afterwards. And of course, so you guys can get some setups. Now, this is not my actual Ethereum chart. This is the wrong one. Let me get my proper Ethereum chart up. All right, here we go. Okay, so... Yep. So we've got a bullish MACD cross on Ethereum coming through. We've got not really much else, to be honest, just looking at the RSI and the MACD. But MACD seeing bullish, and that makes sense because what we've done is we've bounced off support. This is a support zone we listed in one of our previous videos, and we're very aware of what the support zone is. And Ethereum is at dramatic risk of forming a inverted cup and handles formation, okay? If you look at what this structure actually is showing us right now, what we have is the neckline over here, Okay, and if we go upwards, that's the neckline, that's kind of the cup. And what we could be doing if we do see a strong bounce here, which is possible, and we could very much like Bitcoin retest that downtrending yellow line for Ethereum, we could see a handle, something resembling this. It could happen. And if that does happen, what that would mean is that we could very well come up to the top of that macro line, reject from it, break down the cup and handle formation, break down the neckline, and essentially go back down to that 800 region. So do I think Ethereum can go back down to 800? Of course I do. Of course I do. I 100% do believe that Ethereum can go back down to 800. Now, the thing about Ethereum that is interesting when asking that question is if you look at Bitcoin and you look how far Bitcoin is away from its June low, Bitcoin is only like a 10% drop away from its June low. Ethereum is very far away, actually. It's more like a 33% drop from its June low. So why is that? Well, it's because we had the merge, and the merge obviously bumped up the natural price level for Ethereum. The market agreed upon a higher price. We saw an overvaluation. We came back down, adjusted to the mean, and we are more highly valued. Is that how you say? More highly valued, I should say, for Ethereum. So should we go back down and test for June low? On paper, as per TA, yes. But what happens when we retest for June low for Bitcoin will be different for Ethereum. Ethereum will likely be a lot higher than Bitcoin. So will we go back down to 800 exactly? I mean, it looks like it from the charts, but just know that. Just know that when Bitcoin goes down to 17.5K, Ethereum likely won't go back down to the same level relative, right? It will probably be a little bit higher. So maybe we get to 978, which would be the actual closest support zone besides the June low. Maybe we don't go to 800. Maybe we go to 900 or something, and maybe we hold this entire level here at 800 to 900, and that would kind of hold the structure up for Ethereum. Because Ethereum, to be honest with you guys, like Ethereum actually looks a lot better than Bitcoin from a charting perspective, in my opinion at least, because what we've done, and Bitcoin had this horizontal level, and I'll find it. I think I've probably gotten rid of a chart already. Bitcoin had a horizontal level. Its horizontal level was up here at like 28.6K ish. We lost that. Ethereum still got its horizontal level. Yeah, it lost part of it. It lost the red box here, but realistically, the horizontal level for Ethereum now is down here at this pink line, and it's still holding. So I don't think Ethereum actually looks too bad on a macro scale. Would I invest in Ethereum? This is a bit of a controversial question that I get asked quite a lot. Do I invest in Ethereum? I don't really see Ethereum as a long-term investment. And I'll tell you why. I don't see it as a long-term investment, not because I don't fundamentally believe in Ethereum. I don't see it as a long-term investment because I don't think there's enough long-term data to make educated opinions about Ethereum. For example, if you look at Bitcoin's long-term data, and you guys know what I'm going to pull up here. The long-term data for Bitcoin is crystal clear. Okay, it's the 4-year cycle theory. That's the long-term data for Bitcoin. A date range trend that's been going on for 12 years-ish, 10 maybe. That is very, very clear about where Bitcoin's going to go in the future, when exactly it's going to get there, and potentially in the future we could be seeing where exactly it's going to go as well if that data consolidates. Ethereum has nothing like that. So yes, Ethereum fundamentally is sound, and Ethereum fundamentally is good, but it just doesn't have nearly as much historical data for me to justify a long-term investment in it. That's my opinion. And you guys can let me know what you think of that. What's your price prediction for Ethereum 2025? No idea. And that's the thing, right? I've got no idea because it doesn't have the historical data to give me any indication. Bitcoin, on example, and I've used this date range trend extrapolation in the past in videos. You've seen it before probably. I have the data on Bitcoin to estimate where the top will be in the next cycle. And I've done that based on where the bear market bottom would be. If we did, in fact, bottom out at 17.5K, there is reason to believe Bitcoin will top out at 244K in October 2025. We can't do anything like that in Ethereum. We just simply don't have the data for it. Bitcoin is pushing up tonight. Where do you see a good short entry? Yeah, I've already gone over that. I think Powell is talking about crypto tomorrow. I'm not aware of that at all. If you could send a link in, that would be great. Yeah, now you say it's bullish. In real time, you had no idea what the fuck was going on. So yeah, no. I don't know what you're talking about. In real time? Well, look, here's the thing with that, right? When we look at my videos, when we look at what I do with my content, this is something you should apply to all crypto YouTubers, right? There's lots of different time frames we talk about, okay? The shorter term time frame does not translate to the longer term time frame. Because when I'm talking about the longer term time frame, my opinions are very clear. I've got very clear opinions in the longer term, and I think everyone's very aware of them. Q4 bottom, and it's going to be before December, and it's going to be anywhere above 11.5K. Shorter term predictions are something that I make very regularly, but they're not the same thing as longer term predictions. People kind of get it mixed up a little bit. I make a video, for example, and I'll say, Bitcoin looks bullish right now. And then people will think, oh, but I thought you thought the bottom wasn't in yet. And it's like, no, I'm talking about the shorter term. It's hard to differentiate between timeframes. But I mean, I've always thought this structure here, this shorter term structure, and I've said this in every video I've made in the last week, is a bullish structure. It is a descending, broadening wedge formation. They typically break to the upside 76% of the time. There's nothing about that I can fabricate. So acting like I was flip-flopping is ridiculous because it's just different time frames. We have different opinions on different time frames. Hey mate, I love your work. Been watching for ages. Appreciate that. I think Bitcoin will be at 21,000 soon. I don't think so, purely because of the fact that, well, I mean, it could. Okay, it could. Obviously, it could. But the point is, the macro downtrending resistance line is below 21,000. And so if we broke above that, we get to 21,000. But at this point in time, we have no reason to believe that it's going to be broken above. So no, I don't think we'll go to 21,000 anytime soon. Maybe in a few months when we do break it. Your game plan if we don't revisit the 18k low. Okay, so he's asking me what happens to my buying plan if we don't touch the 17.5k bottom. And in that case, we'd have to wait and see what happens. We'd have to break above that 12-month macro downtrending line. And if we do break that macro downtrending line, I would be buying Bitcoin. And I'd probably adjust the buying plans. So I'd probably say something like, okay, well, previously my buying plan in a similar scenario would have been 33% at 18k and then 67% at the breakout. I'd probably have to change it up. Okay, I can't say at this point in time. I'd have to do more analysis, but I definitely would be buying something. I just simply haven't done the analysis in that scenario. And that's a good point. Actually, I'm going to write that down because I should do the analysis in that scenario. I think that a lot of people are just assuming that Bitcoin will go lower. I'm assuming Bitcoin will go lower as well, at least retest 17.5k. However, I can't put all my eggs in that basket. And that's a great point you made there. So I'm going to write that down and I'll come back to you guys tomorrow and I will have a buying plan set up if Bitcoin doesn't actually retest for lows. And if Bitcoin bottom is in, I'll have that buying plan set up. And the good part about buying plan, guys, buying plans in general, is they give you the best case scenario in your portfolio for any scenario that happens in the charts. So I think that a lot of people in cryptocurrency make the mistake. They make the mistake of thinking that you only make money if your predictions are correct. That's incorrect. It's just a wrong statement. You don't make money if your predictions are correct. You make money based on your actions. So it doesn't matter what you predict. It matters how you react to the situation. That's the difference between a good trader and a good analyst. And this is a good point to make. Good analysts, they can be so good at predicting, but they'll never make money because they're not good traders. Right? That's an interesting differentiation. And this is something my VIP group chat will know all about. Because my VIP group chat, I don't make, I do make predictions, but I don't make straight up predictions. I don't look at a coin and be like, oh, it's going up, buy. I look at a coin, I see the market pattern, I see where the resistance support zones are, I see what's going on in the RSI, I see what's going on in the MACD, and I say, okay, if this happens, you should enter. If that happens, you should enter. If that happens, you should take profits there. And because I'm giving you the analysis, it's up to you guys to then take the trades based on that. And I think that's very important. You don't need to make predictions. In fact, I could sit here all day and not make one single prediction and I could still make money. The only time you need to make predictions in crypto is when a breakout has occurred. You need to say, okay, this scenario is now active. Where is Bitcoin going to go now that this scenario is active? When we are waiting for an activation of a specific scenario, predictions are irrelevant. And a lot of people don't understand that. Do we pull back to 19.5k before continuing upwards? We're basically there right now. I mean, we're essentially at 19.5k. If you're asking me just based on what happens typically in TA, I would say yes. Typically what we see when we break out, and I haven't done enough analysis to really answer this properly, but typically what we do see when we do see a breakout is we come back down, resistance support flip, and then head to the upside. So that's typically what happens. So, you can do with that what you will. It's crazy that the S&P dumped today, but Bitcoin still pumped. Yes, the S&P probably dumped on a actual, I don't know what it's called really, but I've got S&P futures, and this is the chart you should have if you look at the S&P 500 on Binance, on TradingView. You should have this chart. It's called ES1 ! And what it does is it shows you a 24/7 S&P chart, or a 24-hour, 5 days a week S&P chart, rather than the one you see on the regular S&P chart, which just shows you when the market's open. This shows you what's happening in after market hours, and what we're seeing right now is a bounce. So everyone thinks that Bitcoin's pumping while the S&P dropped. And it's like, well, that's not actually what's happening. What's happening is the S&P 500 is seeing an aftermarket, after hours bounce, and hence the markets are bouncing in general, right? So, don't get confused there. This is the benefits of knowing more. Once you know more, you understand little things like this that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people are looking at this, they're thinking, oh my God, the S&P 500 is dumped and Bitcoin's pumping. What's going on? It's like, well, no. If you looked at futures, you could see the S&P 500 is actually pumping as well, right? Very important. You need to understand, once you have more knowledge than the average person, you will make more money than the average person. And that applies to everything. It's not even crypto, but that applies to everything, really. Oh. All right. Just back from Specsavers, I can now see the future. Exactly. Some people know that little joke I had in the last video. I thought it was pretty funny. Kilt Protocol, please. All right, we'll look into Kilt Protocol. I have no idea what that is. I'm assuming the ticker is Kilt. The ticker is probably not Kilt, right? Go ahead and chuck the ticker in there so we can confirm it. Can you do a quick tutorial on how you pick your stops? So stop losses, as I said before, there's two ways of picking stop losses. One of the ways is horizontal support, if we're looking at a long trade, right? Horizontal support, diagonal support, or moving average based support. Okay, those are the three ways you can pick your stop losses. Not two ways, there's three ways you can pick your stop losses. And if we go to a blank chart, and we'll go, so this is what we explained before on Bitcoin for the short position, essentially this. Once you have an entry zone, so actually let's just draw it up over here. Once you have an entry zone, and this is for everyone, right? You have a triangle of some sort, right? Something like that, whatever. In fact, we'll just do a descending triangle formation because this makes it a lot easier, right? Descending triangle formation, the price is moving from that triangle. We break down, you'd enter on the breakdown, and you think, okay, now if we go upwards, I lose money. If we go downwards, I make money. That's a short position, okay? So if we go upwards, I lose money. Downwards, make money. Where can I put my stop loss? You'd put it above the nearest horizontal resistance. So if we do break, so you'd set it like within the triangle, and if we do break back above that triangle, you'd hit your stop loss and you'd be out of a trade, and that would be listed a fake out. So whenever you're entering a trade, your stop loss should be above or below, depending on if it's a short or long position, the nearest horizontal, diagonal, or moving average support or resistance. Typically speaking. That's typical. That's what's typically speaking, right? So look for that. Where is the nearest horizontal, diagonal, or moving average resistance or support? And if it's there, okay, maybe I'll put it 1.5 or 0.5% above that, right? Just to give room for a fake out. That's just a very vague explanation of it. I get into it for like 25 minutes in the course if you're interested in that. Ethereum TA already done. Thoughts on VeChain? I don't have any fundamental thoughts on VeChain. Cheers for the sub, by the way, Crypto Abuser. I like your name, Crypto Abuser. Thoughts on VeChain? I'll look into it. Get the chart up. We'll see what's going on there. I'll look in a few more questions. I'll scroll through the chat properly after this VeChain analysis, and we'll get some more questions in there. So type in all the questions you have. I want to answer some questions that aren't altcoin related. So go like any questions regarding the macro or something like that, and I'll answer those ones just so I don't have to look at 15 different charts. Because I want to bring up a few charts as well in a second regarding altcoins. And if you guys want a Bitcoin analysis, if you've just come into the video, I've now got 160 viewers right now. If you've just come here and you're looking for a Bitcoin analysis, go back to the start of the live stream. Rewind to the start of the live stream. I did a 10-minute Bitcoin analysis. By the way, if you could all collectively like the video right now, like the live stream right now, that'd be great. It would help out the algorithm and we can get some more people in here. So VeChain. Let's see. So this is a good example, right? This is a fresh chart. I haven't looked at this chart. As you can see, completely fresh, randomly recommended to me in chat. This is a good example of how an analyst would go about looking at a chart for the first time. Again, haven't even looked at this, okay? So fresh, completely fresh. How would an analyst look at the chart for the first time? They'd zoom out. First thing you do, go to a larger time frame. The daily chart's fine, okay? Zoom out. Understand the entire structure. Don't come in the chart and the first thing you do is go to the 1 hourly chart and try to pick out triangles because you have no idea where anything is. You need a scope for what the chart is. First thing you do is zoom out. What I like to do preferably is bring up the volume profile straight away. Look at the volume profile. Sometimes it tells me nothing. In this case, it's telling me nothing because of the large bear market consolidation zones. So what we can do in that case is zoom up to where the recent price action has occurred around, which is the bull market. and we'll wait for that to load. And we can see already there's 3 major kind of zones that I'm looking at here. And what we can do is we can go ahead and click those out on the volume profile. And we'll look to see if these are valid or not in a second. So there's 3 major zones. We'll look to see if these are valid or not in a second. And what we can do is we can cross-check those zones. So now we can zoom out, see the 3 lines we just drew, and look, okay, are these valid lines? Are these lines actually represented in the price action? We can zoom up and we can take a look. Okay, what we see is that they kind of are, right? Now, there's 2 different kind of trades you're going to get, or kind of charting patterns you're going to get when you look at the volume profile. You're going to see ones that kind of have vague resistance lines, and you're going to see ones that are very precise. It looks like with VeChain, we've got vague resistance lines. We don't have many, exact resistance support zones. And in that case, we're going to want to be a bit more precise. So we're going to use our eyes here. We're going to go to the local price action, and we're going to identify where the local bottom is. The local bottom, as you can see, is here in June. So that is the bottom of the range. And the local top is here, up here in May, and that is the top of the range. What we can do is we can try and line up some lines here. We can see that if we actually bring this line slightly downwards, we can adjust it to a daily candle close, and we can see a few wicks above it, and then also adjust it here, and we've touched it again in August, and we can do the same thing towards the bottom. We can bring that line up and get a couple of retests there and get those into the charting pattern, and you can see if we line it up like that, what we have is an actual range. And the reason I've done this, the reason I've actually moved these lines downwards and upwards for the bottom is so that, now I have a daily candle close resistance and support range. So the benefit of that, instead of just having wicks, is that when we do see a daily candle close above or below these lines, we know that we're breaking that range before we would if we were using wicks. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I'd explain it. So we have a local range there that we've drawn up on VeChain. We could try and see if any market patterns might work. We could do something like that. Doesn't necessarily... Oh, I've got an arrow. Why am I using an arrow? 1 second. I'll get a trend line. We'll try and draw in a diagonal resistance line, support line. Seems like we've already kind of broken that to the downside a little bit. It's not entirely valid. We're going to leave it there for the sake of argument, though. And we could probably do the same thing on the top. It doesn't look like it'd be entirely valid either, but we're going to leave it there for the sake of argument. Now, the reason why I'm putting these lines in, even though they're not entirely valid, the bottom line is valid, but it's broke to the downside. The reason why I'm putting the lines in, even though they're not entirely confirmed or valid, is because when we come up and we retest this, if we move through it swiftly and nothing happens, that's how you know it's invalid. Whereas if we come up and I've got it on the screen there, even though it's not confirmed right now, and we reject from it, all of a sudden it's like, well, it's valid and I've got it there and I know what's going on exactly, instead of scrambling to find out what's happening. So I do draw in invalid lines occasionally just to see if they might work. So we can go to some of these previous lines we drew in the volume profile. We can see they don't really work too well. Sometimes volume profile isn't as precise as you'd like it to be. But just like looking at this local range that we just drew in, using the local price action, and zooming back, I didn't look at anything to draw in this range. You guys saw me do it. Zooming back, we can see that those ranges work out pretty well. Look, that local range that I drew in, only looking over here, not even looking backwards, actually translates pretty well to what happened in 2021, right? We had that retest, rejection from the range, broke above it finally, bounced between it a lot, and finally broke above it. We saw a massive pump, and we came back down, and resistance support flipped it, right? So, when you do TA, you'll find very quickly, once you start to identify lines, you'll find very quickly that if you know how to identify a line correctly, if you zoom out, it should work. It should look nice, right? And that's what's happened here. I know how to identify a line correctly. I know how to do it correctly. I know what you're looking for exactly. And hence, I know that line is going to look neat and tidy when you zoom back. It translates well into the past, right? You guys saw me do that live, and that's how you draw up horizontal resistance and support lines. So just to kind of briefly overview, right, and we can actually make a trading signal out of this because we haven't really done anything really. We've just identified a range. And what we have with a range, I'll get into some more questions in a second, guys. What you have with a range is essentially this. Obviously, when you break a range to the upside, you're going to see a bounce, so you'd enter a long position. And when you break a range to the downside, you're going to see a dump, so you enter a short position. Very simple stuff. There's no need to overcomplicate it. So what we need is targets. Where would our targets be for the upside and the downside? This is something that takes a little bit longer to understand. And this is something that you need to bring up multiple charting patterns for. You need to bring up bull market support bands, MAs, whatever, and see what works best. But in this scenario, I'm just going to do it the short and sweet way. And the short and sweet way is this. Identify the nearest local resistance zone. So if we're breaking above the range, we're entering a long position, where is the nearest local resistance zone above that range that would act as a target? The nearest local resistance zone above that range is this line right here. How did I identify that? I zoomed out and I looked. I observed. I went to Specsavers. I got a pair of glasses and I looked at the chart. It's very much about vision, right? It's very visual. How did I do that? Well, I looked back here. I said, in my brain internally, I said, okay, well, that's kind of like a dump, and we bounced. Why did we bounce there? We bounced there. That's interesting. Okay, how can we translate that? We move it across. Oh, what's that? We bounced there again. Oh, what's that over here? We bounced there again. In fact, we came down, came back, rejected off of it, and dropped. So that is a clear resistance zone there. So the long position would be this: break above the range, break above the 3.3 cents. You'd enter a trade, you take profits at 3.8 cents. And you could do the same thing to the downside. I'm not going to do it now because there's no point. You get the point. You just need to identify the nearest local support zone. So the entire thing about trading is this. Trading is literally pattern recognition and understanding how to identify horizontal support and resistance zones correctly. Now, what you'll notice is that it's not as simple as looking at a chart and being like, oh, there's lines here, I'm just going to draw it in, right? As you saw before, if I did that, if I looked at this chart fresh and I said, okay, top of the range, bottom of the range, and then I zoomed out, it wouldn't translate as well. Look how it doesn't look as neat as it did before, right? It doesn't look as neat. What I did is I said, okay, yes, that's the top of the range, that's the bottom of the range, but if we move it into a daily candle range and move it up and get more retests of that lines with fake outs, then it looks all of a sudden a lot neater than it did before, and it lines up a lot better than it did before. So that's how you identify lines there with VeChain as an example. I'm going to scroll through. I'm going to ignore some of the altcoin questions, and I'm going to answer a lot of your guys' questions on the general markets. Check the RSI on the 3-day or the weekly. Yes, okay, so I've done this in the past multiple times. The 3-day RSI on Bitcoin is, of course, very important, and we've looked into it in the past. Just briefly looking into it one more time for people who aren't aware of it. And of course, Bitcoin is pumping right now, by the way, and we'll get into that towards the end of the live stream, I think. But 3-day RSI, where is my chart for the 3-day RSI? Somewhere around here. Don't tell me, I'm just going to delete this for a second. Yeah, okay, it looks like it's on a different page. But essentially, 3-day RSI, I'm not going to look into it right now, is 34 on the 3-day RSI is the critical level. If you go to the 3-day RSI, you'll be able to draw... I'm going to find the chart, one second. I don't want to just explain it blindly. Yeah, so here we go. This is it. So if you draw a downtrending line, 3-day RSI, you will see there is a resistance line, and you'll see that 34 on the RSI is a critical level. Every time we lose 34 on the RSI, we see a drop. Every time we bounce off of it, we see a pump. Okay? And I think what he's referring to right now is that on the 3-day RSI, we are coming quite close up to retesting that resistance zone. And guess what? That resistance line on the 3-day RSI lines up with the resistance line on the Bitcoin price action stemming from November. Let me draw that in. They line up. They work together. So if we break one, we're going to break the other. This is an interesting time for Bitcoin, guys. I think the next few days will be very intriguing. The next few days, we could very well see Bitcoin reject sharply off of this yellow line, or we could see a bit of a bounce. And it'll be interesting to see. Maybe we'll know by tomorrow. Maybe. Who knows, guys? Ugh. Can you check ADA? No, I'm going to ignore some of the altcoin questions as of right now, just so I can catch up with the chat. Hey Wolf, I've saved like 500 and want to trade with it. I've lost in the past and wondering if you think that's good enough to try your trading signals. That's a personal choice, my friend. What I'll say is this. My trading signals are plans. It gives you plans. So if you're struggling to identify patterns, if you're struggling to identify what proper support resistance zones are, if you're struggling to identify what scenarios will play out if something does happen or not, and if you just want extra trades given to you for you to trade upon, go ahead and join. But if you want me to just hand you free money, just be like, oh yeah, enter here, but... No, if you want me to say, all right guys, buy ADA right now with no context, and you blindly follow like a sheep, then that's not for you. My trading signals are very much... I'm giving you the information, and you guys can do with it what you will. I'm giving you a scenario, I'm giving you a take profit, I'm giving you an entry zone, I'm giving you all of that, but I'm not saying buy right now, because that's not trading, that's just giving you blind signals. So if you want to be a sheep, you probably shouldn't. If you want educated signals that I'm giving you the information for, but you still have to analyze for yourself a little bit, then join up. It's up to personal preference. A lot of people like just blindly entering trades based on what their VIP group manager tells them. I don't like that kind of thing. Short-term price target for Ethereum. I don't have one. Bone, I'm going to look at that. All these altcoins recommendations, I'll go back and I'll look at them in a bit. Hello, can I ask a question? What is your price prediction for Ethereum for the coming bull run? Yeah, so I answered that before. I don't think Ethereum has enough price history for us to give a valid price prediction for it. For example, Bitcoin has a 4-year cycle theory. It has 10 years of historical price action, based on a theory starting from the halving. It actually has like 12 years of historical price action. And we can use that price action to validate future trends and to give us future price predictions. We don't have that for Ethereum. It's too new. I've got to go now, bro. See you later. See you later, Cal. Have a good one, man. You warned us about something that isn't possible. I don't know what you're referring to. 27k incoming, potentially. I don't think so, though. Not too scared. We should have a rejection until lower CME gaps are filled. So I'm assuming you're talking about the CME gap at 9.6k. And in that case, you might have a point. I don't think we'll go that low personally. But I don't know. 20k Bitcoin. 100 basis points objectively isn't possible for December, even if you think the Fed is lying. I agree with you. So I don't think they'll see a 100 basis point hike at all. In fact, if you look at the market expectations, this chart right here is the market expectations for the next rate hike. This is for November 2nd, okay? We've got a 32% chance of seeing a 50 basis point hike, a 67% chance of seeing a 75 basis point hike, and a 0% chance of seeing a 100 basis point hike. So acting like the Fed's going to magically raise 100 basis points is going against what the market's expecting. If we move to December, we can see that there is a 30% chance of a 25 basis point hike, a 64% chance of a 50 basis point hike, and only a 5% chance of a 75 basis point hike. So the chances of higher hikes is coming down and down quicker and quicker, and that's one of the reasons why I think we're seeing the market starting to pump here a little bit. And realistically, looking at this chart right now, yes, I think we're going to go lower, and no, I'm not bullish yet, but this is a double bottom already. In terms of daily candle closes, whatever, that's a double bottom already, so that's interesting to keep in mind as well. Just 9.6k on a wick. Possible, man. It's possible. Look, if we go down to 11.5k, which is where I think the lowest Bitcoin will go, we could wick to 9.6. Possible, dude. I just can't say anything about it because I'm not exactly... I don't think it's extremely likely, but it is possible, of course. You said the bottom was 20k and you have said it for months. Now you changed your mind. I don't know what you're talking about, my friend. I've literally maybe said the bottom was 20k in maybe March this year before we reached 20k. But as of recent, the bottom has been, 17.5k for me and lower than that. Actually, the bottom hasn't been any price target for me at all. This is something I made very clear in my post yesterday. Go to my YouTube channel homepage, click on the community button. I don't have a price target. My bottom is a 4-year cycle theory. It is in Q4. That's my prediction. And it's going to be above 11.5k. I've never really looked at a specific price zone other than the 200-week SMA at the start of the year. And by the time we got to 30k, I said that wouldn't hold either. So 20k bottom is just something that I've never actually said. You might be a bit confused. Do you think the 20k is our local top? Again, I think the local top of this move for people just signing in will be a retest of this macro downtrending line, which would be at 20.6, something around there, maybe a little bit higher, 21. Bro, this guy telling everyone we're going to see a 100 basis point hike, and Wolf just stated we won't for the third time. Do you think it's better to chart on the 4-hour or the daily? I think the daily chart should be a preferred time frame for most analysis. If you're looking at medium term or long term, daily chart is definitely the way to go. If you're looking for trades, you go lower than daily. I know you hate world events, but Putin and China been extremely naughty. Been extra naughty. 3 to 5k would be fair value. Again, I don't like world events, man. You said it yourself. Too hard to predict. There's nothing really I can predict. I'm not a politician. I'm not a geopolitical expert. I don't know if China's going to invade Taiwan. I don't really know what's going to happen in Ukraine. I can look at the results of that stuff on the market and make predictions based on the TA. But I'm not. Again, I'm not a military strategist. I don't know. So. And I don't think many people do. And I think people who think they do know have just been indoctrinated by the media to know a certain opinion. I don't think there's many independent opinions on that. Do you think liquidating cash into USD was the way to go? I regret not doing it. For us Aussies, we are getting punished at the same time, and buying power on Bitcoin with AUD is awful. Do you mean converting AUD into USD? Yeah, I've done that. I did that months ago. I converted the vast majority of my net worth from AUD into USD, and as you can see in the AUD USD chart, this isn't going to interest many people, but it's gone up massively. If you look at, where is the AUD USD chart? I've got it here somewhere around here. I can't find it right now, but the point is, AUD USD. Oh, here it is. AUD USD. Essentially, what you can do, guys, if you're not into trading crypto at this point in time, and this is what I like to do in bear markets. If you're bored and there's no trades or whatever, you can trade forex basically, because all you need to do is be like, okay, what is current monetary policy? How is it going to relate to my currency versus the USD? And you can make predictions based on that. It's extremely simple, and that's what I did back. I don't know what these random patterns are here, but that's what I did back. I don't know what it was, maybe February. And I saw that this was going to go up. I looked at the current monetary situation in the United States, saw it was going to go up, and I've made, what am I up? Like roughly like 14% just by having cash in USD instead of AUD. And if I convert it back, that's profit. All right, I'm going to look into some trading signals. Here. I've got 3 signals that I've lined up to show you guys. So let's get into them. So what you're going to do, guys, is bring up your TradingView chart if you're interested in this kind of thing. One second. Bring up your TradingView chart, and you can chart this out with me, and you'll have trading signals ready to go, and when they break, you can enter them. It looks like Uni's already broken to the upside. So this is what I mean. Guys. This is the benefit of having charts ready to go. I charted this up maybe 3 hours ago before the live stream, and I was getting it ready to go for the live stream, and it's broken to the upside. And if you entered on the break, this trade would already be at a profit of around 9%, 8% on spot. If you entered 10x leverage, that's 80% profit. This is what we do in the VIP group. We chart up things, we wait for them to break out. When they break out, we enter, and we take profit over targets. And we've got an 80% trade here already. We've missed it because I didn't go live soon enough. I only charted this out 3 hours ago or 4 hours ago or something like that. And so we've missed that trade, but that's an example of the profit you can make. So we're going to have to delete that one. So now we've only got two trading signals left. So we've got Algo, which I think is interesting. And this is something I charted up as well. It's not as clean as Uni. In fact, I was hoping Uni would be still, pending, but Uni's obviously broken to the upside, and it's 80% profit there. So unlucky. And we've got Chills and Chillers or something, CHZ, and this one is quite interesting as well that I want to look at. So we'll start with CHZ. So go to CHZ on your TradingView chart if you're interested, and this will just take 3 minutes to explain. You can go to CHZ on your TradingView chart, and what I want you guys to do is go ahead and identify the 3 horizontal lines that I have identified. The horizontal lines are the following. Make them red. They're very important. Color code this stuff. Red equals take profit, yellow equals entry. Color code it. All right. I'm not going to go through exactly how I've identified each support and resistance line, simply because that'll take too much time and people here aren't necessarily interested. So let's see. The horizontal lines you should be drawing are 8 cents flat, 27.1 cents, 30.6 cents. Okay. Those are the red horizontal lines. Again, that's 8 cents flat, 27.1 cents, and 30.6 cents. You're going to draw a horizontal yellow line at 16.3 cents, and you're going to draw a diagonal yellow line from the peak here on the 27th of December through to the peak here on the 31st of March through to the peak 3 days ago. And what you'll have is exactly what I've got on the screen here. Now, I've done an extensive analysis of where the moving averages are, what, for example, volume, RSI, all that stuff is doing, and I found that these horizontal lines and diagonal lines are the best way you're going to be able to trade this coin, okay? And I'm going to give you the trading signal as follows. The trading signal is very simple for CHZ, and I purposely look for simple trading signals. When I go through my BitGet chart, and this is how I look for trading signals, I go through BitGet, I go through all like 60, 70 coins, like once a week. I'll chart them all up, and I'll narrow it down to like 10 that I think look good. And I'll see the ones that are too complicated, and I'll throw them out the window. Because I don't want to have trades complicated for no reason. Why would you do that? Just for clout? Just to look cool? Look like a good analyst? No. You want to have the simplest trades possible. That is how you profit. You look for simplicity. Simplicity is the key to trading. If you overcomplicate things to look cool on YouTube, you're an idiot. Because you're going to lose money. Right? So keep it simple. The trading signal is as follows. Break the yellow line to the upside. Okay? Break the yellow line to the upside. You'd enter a trading signal. Okay? Your stop loss would be placed below 27.1 cents. Right? So your stop loss would be placed below the red line. Just below it. Okay? So if we come back down, you'd trigger your stop loss and you'd minimize your risk. and your take profit would be at 30.6 cents, the nearest resistance zone. That's a very simple long trade. Your short position would be a little bit simpler because we have a horizontal yellow line. The short position would be this. You'd break down the yellow line. Once you break down the yellow line, you'd enter the trade short position to the downside. You'd set your stop loss just above the yellow line. Obviously, depending on your risk tolerance, you can set it more or less above. I like to go about 0.5% above. Or maybe you can do a daily candle stop loss. So you can do a stop loss if a daily candle closes back above. So essentially explaining it again, you'd enter the trade, the short position on the breakdown. Daily candle above would be the stop loss, and you'd take profits at 8.0 cents. Very simple trading signal there for CHZ. So go ahead and chart that up and write down exactly what I just explained. We'll do one more, and then we'll head back into the comments here. So we've got Algo. And this one is a little bit more complicated, but not necessarily so. Another reason why I've chosen Algo is because moving averages and other, external factors like RSI, etc., aren't exactly completely relevant to Algo, and that's what you want. You want that stuff to be irrelevant. You want it to be as simple as possible. So Algo, go ahead and zoom out. Look at the chart on a larger scale. In fact, there should definitely be a line here that I'm missing. I'll draw that in now. Look at the chart on a larger scale. And you want to draw in the following red horizontal resistance lines. Again, the color red indicates take profit zones. The first line is at 27.8 cents. The second line is at 43.0 cents. The third line is at 51.6 cents. And the fourth line is at 66.4 cents. Again, 27.8 cents, 43 cents, 51.6 cents, and 66.4 cents. Then you want to go ahead and zoom in. And you want to draw in a dotted yellow diagonal resistance line, and that is stemming from the wick here on February 8th through to the wick here on April 1st, and you want to extend it all the way through. The reason why it is dotted is because it's not confirmed yet. 2 retests does not make a confirmed line. You need 3. I've just got it in there. It's a speculative line. And then you want to go ahead and draw in a solid yellow line stemming from a June 18th wick through to all these wicks here, and then stemming from a downside retest on September 11th, as I've got it drawn in there. Now, what you want to go ahead and do is understand the trading signal, get a pen and paper, put it on your trading view chart and write it down. The trading signal is as follows. If we break this yellow line to the downside, you'd enter the short trade, you'd set your stop loss just above the breakdown line, and you'd want to adjust that to the downside as we move downwards. So you can do something called stop loss trailing, which is the further downwards we move, the lower you put your stop loss. One thing I'm going to do quickly before we head into the rest of the signal is bring up the 21 EMA. And this is something you need to be using for the signal. So go ahead and type up EMA, moving average exponential, click on that, and then click on the settings button and change it to inputs and go 21 and stay on the daily chart, right? And then we'll make it a thicker line so you can see it. And this is going to act as your stop loss trail for this trade. Okay, very important. So when we break the yellow line to the downside, you'd originally set your stop loss above the yellow line, but as we continue downwards towards the red line, which is the target, you'd use the 21 EMA as your stop loss. Okay, so if we break back above the 21 EMA, which I'm going to imitate here in this blue line, you take profits. If we break back above that, you take profits. Okay, but until then, your take profit zone is at 27.8 cents. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're using the 21 EMA as your stop loss. Okay, so if we get back above it, so for example, we're breaking down, and we get back above the 21, that's your stop loss. But until then, your take profit is 27.8 cents, the red line. And for the long trade, that's a short trade. For the long trade, what you want to be doing is you want to be waiting for a retest of this yellow line. If we retest that yellow line and we reject, it is then valid. Only at that point, when we break it, you'd enter, you'd set your stop loss just below it, and you take profits at any one of these red lines above, either 51.6 cents or 66.4 cents. So those are the trading signals there. That is Algo. And then the other one we did before was CHZ. Those are the trading signals. Let me know what you guys think of that. Did you guys chart it up? Let's see. I'll read some comments now. For-hour wick fill by the end of the hour, the wick from the Fed rate, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not an XRP maxi. Yeah, I've noticed that. There's a lot of XRP maxis in the crypto space, like a lot. There's a lot of people who really believe in XRP. You guys do you. I just don't believe in falling in love with an altcoin. I think that's an easy way to lose money. Any altcoin that people love, they love this altcoin. That's how you know they're going to lose money. I mean, I've done it before. Everyone's done it before, but it's not a good It's not a good, thing to be falling into a trap to, man. I mean, Wan Chain, however you say it, during the bull market, that was a coin that I really liked, and it was a big disappointment. I made money on it. I made like a 6x, but a 6x during a bull market is not particularly good. And if I diversified and I realized that, hey, I shouldn't fall in love with this coin, I definitely would have made a lot more than the money I put into Wan Chain. Falling in love with altcoin is not a good idea. Regardless of how good it is, it's a terrible idea on every scenario. Altcoins, in my opinion at least, are for trading. They're for trading. You trade altcoins. You don't long-term invest altcoins. But again, that's my opinion. A lot of people disagree. Bitcoin's pumping hard, guys. Clarifying again for people who weren't here at the start, if you're interested in Bitcoin right now, you should be waiting to see what happens with this resistance line, this downtrending resistance line stemming from November 2021. And if we touch that, you might pay to enter a short position. Not a bad trade. Hi, mate. When do we hit the downtrending line? I don't know when, but I do know if we do touch it, that's a pretty good short position for a 19.5k take profit. And if we're going to test it, it's going to be within the next day or two. I can tell you that much. Potential bull trap on Bitcoin. Yeah, it could be a bull trap, man. Could easily reject from it. Do you think privacy is important? Is crypto what's the worst case for society with government CBDCs? And do you think XRM and other ways to remain hidden will remain? Do I think privacy is important for crypto? Of course it is. Privacy is a fundamental building block of cryptocurrency. And not only privacy, it's not necessarily privacy, but it's more decentralization. I don't think people necessarily care too much about privacy. I think the fact that it's more private is good enough. If you're looking for privacy, again, you can use things like XRM, as you said, but I think a fundamental part of cryptocurrency really is decentralization. And with decentralization comes a certain degree of privacy that isn't inherently there with centralized currencies. So complete privacy doesn't necessarily exist in cryptocurrency outside of things like Monero, etc. But even with Bitcoin is more private. And that's a key point. It's more private. It doesn't have to be completely private. It's more private. But ultimately, it's the decentralized aspect. And we've done a video recently on CBDCs, which is central bank digital currencies, and how they're basically the devil. And how they're going to ruin everything for everyone, and how they're going to turn us into China social credit system and track every transaction we make and turn us into bots. And if you're interested in that, go ahead and check it out. I did it like 2 days ago. I had a cringy thumbnail with my head in my hands, looking like I was having a breakdown. And if you'll be able to find it very easily. There's a Bitcoin burning in the background of the thumbnail. I tried to make it as stereotypically YouTuber thumbnail as possible, and I think I succeeded. But it's a very interesting video. There's a lot of stuff going on with central bank digital currencies that is there. That clear. I can't say too much because I don't want to get banned. But it's not good. So let's see a few more comments here. 4 a.m. here, gonna go to bed. Thanks for the live stream, Wolf. No worries, man. Anytime. I'm gonna try and mix up the times of these live streams as much as possible to include people from different time zones. I'm going to try do some live streams at night here in Australia. It's a little bit difficult for me with the way my life is structured. So I'll try my best. I'll try to do at least a couple a week that are different time zones. Talking of currencies, thoughts on the British pound. I don't have any thoughts on the British pound at this point in time. I know that the British pound has gone down in valuation significantly in comparison to the US dollar. It's reached, I think, Britain's getting wrecked, man. The UK is getting wrecked. They're in a very bad position. There was talks of an emergency rate hike in the UK. I know that. I know it got turned down. All I know is that the UK is in a very bad position. Worse so than the US. What do you think about the triple top for Bitcoin went then sideways to its top up to bottom again? What do you think about the triple top for Bitcoin then sideways to its top up to bottom again? Sorry, man, you might have to rephrase that. Are you a furry? I'll let you think about that for yourself. I'll leave it as a mystery. Man. I like the question. Are you a furry? Straight into it. Who needs crypto questions when you can ask fire gems like that? Zingers like that. I'm not a furry. I hate to disappoint you guys. I am not a furry. Sorry. I'm so sorry to disappoint. I suppose I am wolf though. I am a wolf. So it would kind of make sense. If that's what you were going with that, if you're like, oh, wolves are crypto, he must be a furry. The logic makes sense. I can see how you'd think it, but I hate to disappoint you. I was also disappointed in WanChain. Yeah, man, devastating. You know, it was a great project. Fundamentally speaking, great project. The problem with WanChain, in my opinion, was China, man. China, there's no transparency when it comes to China. No transparency. You know, and that project really suffered. They had a partnership with the State Grid Corporation of China, the third largest company in the world, has like 1.5 million employees. You know, makes like, again, third largest profit per year in the world, and it still failed. It's like there was no transparency. They released no information, no news about it, nothing really. It just seems like it didn't even happen. Sucks, man. WanChain needed to rebrand desperately. They needed marketing. They just didn't give it to us. Just my username. Don't get triggered, sirs. The SEC is helping with XRP's clarity for us. XRP is a cult. Its goons end either with them rich or salty. Yeah, I generally agree, and I think that takes place with every altcoin. Every altcoin that has a cult community generally ends that way, with people very, very mad at the coin, and it takes years for them to find out they wasted their time, or they all get rich. But generally speaking, if an altcoin has a cult following, it's already kind of doomed. It's already doomed. And we saw that with WanChain, we saw that with... I'm not going to say we saw it with XRP, it's not a dead coin by any means, but it's definitely a deterrent. Because when you have a cult following, you know, it's not attractive to new investors to see people getting like really angry on Twitter about people who diss XRP. It's not a very attractive thing. Is Bitcoin still good? That's a very vague question. Is it still good in the sense that, is it going to die? I don't think Bitcoin will die. No. So I suppose, yes, it is still good. Do you think society will use the full potential of crypto? Do I think it will use the full potential of crypto? I think it depends what you mean, because central bank digital currencies are essentially crypto. So yes, but not in the conventional sense that you would hope for. I don't think they'll utilize Bitcoin. I don't think governments will be utilizing Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that stuff. I think they'll try to outlaw that as soon as possible. And I think when they release central bank digital currencies, that would be the perfect excuse for them to outlaw it, right? Because when you get central bank digital currencies, you can be like, oh, well, why are you guys using this decentralized nonsense when you can use our cryptocurrency that's safe? Because it's all about safety, right? That's something we've learned about in the last few years. Everything's about safety. They're doing it for your safety, right? They can't do it because they control it anymore. They control you via safety. If you're in danger, they have the ability to do anything they want in the name of safety. Under the banner of safety, they can do whatever they want in a tyrannical sense. As long as they convince people they're protecting them, they can do whatever they want. And that's what's going to happen with crypto. They'll try and ban it. They'll try their best. Maybe in the next decade, they'll try their best to get rid of it. I think the mass adoption stuff that we hear about is a bit of a dream. And I don't think it will come true. I think Bitcoin and cryptocurrency will not die. I don't think they'll die. But I think eventually crypto will inevitably be pushed underground. I think it will still exist, but I think it will be harder to access and it will be pushed underground. That's my opinion on that in the long term. And I hate to disappoint. A lot of people will disagree with me on that. You know, you can go ahead and disagree. I think as long as central bank digital currencies are the objective of global governments, that's the objective reality of the situation. Why would governments allow crypto to exist when we have central bank digital currencies? Why would they do that? At least exist legally. There's no incentive for them. There's no incentive. It would not benefit them in any way possible. So of course they're going to try and get rid of it eventually. Not now. Not within the next few years. Maybe a decade. Wolf, what do you think about this pump? I've made that very clear. Go back to the start of a live stream, and I've done an extensive analysis on Bitcoin. I'm going to be wrapping up soon, guys. So get in your last questions. Do you think holding a portfolio of staking altcoins for passive income is enough reason to hold some altcoins? Staking altcoins are risky, man. You know, we see a lot of coins get rugged, and they're all staking altcoins. They all get their liquidity pools drained. It's always the staking altcoins that get rugged, you know what I mean? But hey, if you're confident in them, if you genuinely think they're not going to get rugged, it's probably better than holding regular altcoins. How long do you think it will take Bitcoin to break 28K? I think that it will break 28K in Q1 or Q2 2023. That's my opinion on that. Probably Q2. If we're looking at it objectively, probably Q2 2023. Yeah, like June. But again, that depends a lot on where Bitcoin bottoms. Where it bottoms will have a lot to decide in that. Because, for example, if we bottom here at 17.5k, 28k is only like a 50% pump away. Whereas if we bottom 11k, it's like a 3x almost. So depends on where we bottom exactly. If we bottom at 17.5k, I think around June 2023. If we bottom lower at 11.5k, it could even take to the end of the year, man. Could take to late 2023. Depends on where we bottom. And how am I calculating that? I'm not just ripping it out of nowhere. I'm looking at historical data, how long it generally takes for Bitcoin to reach certain levels. I know that as per the 4-year cycle theory, it takes quite a while to get to. So for example, here's an example of this, right? If we bottom at 18k, we will be at 46k by the halving. Okay, so the halving's in 2024. So where would we get to, 30k by? Probably like mid 2023. Yeah, it's hard. I'll get into that in future videos. When we do see the bottom, I'll get into a lot of that, like price targets for the rest of the bear market, etc. I might wrap it up soon, guys. My voice is getting a little bit croaky. Finish my drink. Get some water. All right, last few questions. Hello, Alpha. How long will it take for a novice like me to be a good trader? Thanks for the live show. Depends on the method you use. It depends on the method you use to learn trading, and it depends on how long you're dedicating per day to learn trading. I recommend to anyone who's trying to learn something new, and this is universal, anyone who's trying to learn something new should at least be trying to learn for half an hour a day. 30 minutes a day, minimum. If you're trying to learn something new, 30 minutes a day, minimum. That's an absolute necessity. You need to do it regularly. You can't do it weekly. Oh, I'm going to try and trade once a week. You're going to forget everything. And that's universal. 30 minutes a day, minimum. I think that's psychologically proven. Don't ask for a source, but I think it's psychologically proven, right? 30 minutes a day minimum. I don't know. I'm making this up. But I think personally, if you're trying to learn something and not putting at least 30 minutes a day, I think, I hate to be this guy, but I do think that everyone has 30 minutes a day. I do. Okay, I do. I don't want to be like, oh, some people are really busy. Of course they are. 30 minutes a day, come on. I think you've got that. You can make time. 30 minutes a day. While you're driving to work, chuck on a podcast. That's 30 minutes right there. That's learning. It doesn't have to be active learning, but it can be anything to do with that subject. I know, for example, right, with cryptocurrency, I used to work at KFC when I was a teenager. 5-6 years ago, I used to work at KFC. What I did is I was trying to learn about crypto. And more specifically, at that point in time, it wasn't really crypto. It was more stocks, but more trading. When I used to go on break at KFC, I used to sit in my car, my little Hyundai i20 trash car that I used to have for my KFC money, my $10 an hour. And I used to sit in there and I'd be like, oh man, this sucks. I hate this job. Chuck on a podcast, learn about stocks. You don't have to actively be sitting there trading to learn about something. Any spare time you had, I used to drive from work. When I used to go to school, I used to hang out with my mates at recess, but at lunchtime I used to go to the library. I used to study crypto and stocks. Right? That's what you do. You got to make time. Some people would look at that and be like, oh, well, I didn't have any time. I was at school. I was at work. It's like, no, I made time. I made time to learn. If you're sleeping 8 hours a night, cut it down to 7 hours. Put an extra hour into learning. Right? There's heaps of things you can do to learn. Man, shout out to KFC employees, man. That job was trash. Fast food employees, they don't get the credit they deserve, man. We got any fast food employees in here? If you're a fast food employee in the chat right now, shout out to you, man. You're doing God's work. You're actually doing God's work. That was a terrible job. Did that for like 3 years. Alright, a few more questions, then we'll wrap it up. Should I go long on garlic prawns or chicken parma for dinner tonight? Tough question. Are you Australian, man? I think the Australian answer is very, very self-evident there. And it's not the stereotypical one. Everyone thinks, Australians eat shrimp on the barbie. It's like, bro, I don't think I've had shrimp for like 6 years. I can't remember the last time I ate a shrimp. I genuinely cannot remember. What will the top be for 2023 Bitcoin? Tough question, man. If Bitcoin bottoms out at 17.5k, as per the 4-year cycle, I don't expect Bitcoin to reach 42k until the halving. So the top will probably be like somewhere in the 30k region in 2023. Really confused about using log or not to use log. Logarithmic chart should be used exclusively for decade-long trends. Very important. Decade-long trends, use the logarithmic chart. Anything less, use the linear chart. Or either decade-long trends or charts that can't be analyzed properly in linear. For example, if I go to the linear chart on Bitcoin, how am I meant to analyze this chart? Because essentially most of a price action is a flat line, then it just spikes up. Of course, I'm going to have to flick over to logarithmic so I can get a good overview of what's going on. Generally speaking though, logarithmic is for long-term trends, very long-term. Where is the trend line from your Bitcoin chart? The trend line on my Bitcoin chart is stemming directly from the November top. Okay, I'm going to zoom out and show it to you now. Stemming directly from the November top through to the wicks here in March, through to the wick here in September, vaguely. That is the line. Hey Wolf, if crypto does get pushed under the ground, hold on one second. Hey Wolf, if Bitcoin does get pushed underground and the government CBDC wins, what crypto do you think would survive? And do you think that the world, you would be portable to cold these hypothetical? I don't understand the last part of your question, but do I think crypto will survive? And if so, what cryptos will survive? We're talking about a decade in the future, first and foremost. So it's hard to tell you exactly what the crypto market will look like at that point in time. I do think Bitcoin will exist for a long period of time. I do think Bitcoin is the face of cryptocurrency. I think regardless of the technology, Bitcoin will exist. I think Bitcoin is the store of value for the cryptocurrency market. And you might think, oh, but a store of value doesn't drop 80%. It's like, well, it's a store of value in a decentralized sense. So yes, I think Bitcoin will be around for a long time. I think Bitcoin will, cryptocurrency as a whole will exist forever. I think cryptocurrency will always have a niche. Regardless of whether the government regulates it, bans it, whatever, I think there will still be people out there who use cryptocurrency to transact on an international basis to try and hide from government monetary systems. It will always exist. I don't think cryptocurrency will ever reach a level of mass adoption, but I do believe it will always be a niche and it will always exist. What's up, Wolf? What's up, man? I'm about to end it up. I've been saying I'm about to finish the live stream for 25 minutes. Maybe I'll actually just finish it now. Now, a few more questions. Just type your last few questions, guys. Come on, last few questions. I'll try to milk as much knowledge out of this live stream as I can get. Last few questions. Any final questions here? Chuck them in. I'm going to be uploading the Bitcoin analysis that I did at the start of the live stream as a video in a couple of hours. I'm going to cut it up, upload it as a video. So if you missed it, you can wait for the video. And I'm going to be deleting the live stream replay in roughly 60 minutes as well. I did the same thing, driving around, doing Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, etc., listening to crypto videos. Great idea, man. Like, you know, if you're going to work a job that would be considered, generally speaking, a minimum wage job, you know, you're better off doing Uber driving, man, because Uber driving, at least you have the freedom to do what you want in your car. You can listen to music. More importantly, listen to podcasts. More importantly, while you're waiting for orders to come in, write down. I used to do Uber driving as well. What I used to do when I got my license, I used to work at KFC. So this is back in my schooling days. I used to work at KFC. As I said, listen to podcasts on break. When I clocked out at KFC, I used to go straight in the car. Used to do Uber driving for like 3 hours. During that period of time, I'd be listening to podcasts the whole time. And the amount of knowledge you can get from doing that. You're making money. Yeah, it's not good money, but you're making money and you're learning so much at the same time. I used to write down the important things while I was doing that as well. Then I used to go park outside the school, sleep in the car, go to school for a few hours, go home, rest during the day, do the same thing, repeat during the night. I was working hard, man. I was grinding. Nothing better you can do for yourself. If you're working a minimum wage job, go ahead, quit right now. Get your Uber driving thingo. Get your, what is it called? Like certificate? I don't know. Become a sole trader. Do Uber driving. You're going to make the same amount of money. It's going to be easier work. Yes, you're going to lose the social aspect. I suppose that's a negative, but you're going to be able to do what you want in your car. Listen to podcasts. Listen to ebooks. Knowledge. Get more information. You can't do that in these places. Burger King, KFC, McDonald's. Yeah, you can learn on break, but generally speaking, those places encourage you to just work, and then go home. It's like you need to find a job where you get paid the same amount of money that you can actually use the spare time you have on the job to learn how to get out of the job. Very important, guys. I did it myself. It's very important. This is from someone who's done it. I hate being that guy. Oh, I'm a cringy motivational speaker. I'm going to tell you how to make money. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I did that. That was what I did for years. And I got out of that situation simply by learning. If I wasn't using that time, listening to podcasts, I would still be working at KFC. So it's very important that you utilize your time efficiently. Even when you think you have no time, make the time. How high do you see this pump going? Again, I can see this pump easily reaching the downtrending resistance line stemming from November. That is the yellow line I have on my screen right now. Which is like 21K, something like that. After all of this is said and done, what happens with Bitcoin in a decade? Yeah, I think in a decade, central bank digital currencies will be around, and I think Bitcoin will be pushed underground. But I think it will still exist, and it will still have a niche, and people will still use it. But I don't think it will be as open as it is right now. Wolf, you are like me, except I've been using every moment to learn everything I can about as much things as I can. Yeah, exactly, man. It's good. Got to do that. Before we end this live stream, leave a like on the live stream. Helps out with the algorithm, guys. If you appreciate the knowledge I've dropped here, leave a like. Takes 2 seconds, and it's appreciated, man. Couple more questions. Been a long-term supporter. I appreciate how your channel is growing, man. That's great, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support. All right, I might wrap it up, guys. Go ahead and sign up to the BitGet exchange using my referral link in the description below. And you can trade these coins I've listed in this video. If you're interested in helping out the channel as a free of charge way, sign up to BitGet. Help out yourself, man. 5 times lower fees than Binance, non-KYC. You're not going to get much better than that. They have a trust fund, not a trust fund, a security fund. So if the exchange does get hacked, or if you get hacked personally, you can make a claim and get your money back. Most likely get your money back within a period of time of putting in the inquiry. No other exchange has that. So go ahead and sign up to BitGet, use my referral link, get access to a reward center, over 4,000 USD in rewards, guys. Sign up to BitGet. Genuinely speaking, I reached out to them for the partnership. I was looking for a new exchange. I lost a lot of money on Binance during the December drop. December drop on Binance was brutal. 50%. It was like a massive dump out of nowhere. It was like I predicted it. I didn't predict that, but I predicted a drop, and I was out of the market. Completely out of the market. I had nothing at that point in time. I saw the drop happening. I bought Bitcoin at like 41, 42K, right? And I sold at like 45K within a period of 15 minutes, right? And in that period of time, I made profit. I should have made like a 15% trade. But due to the conversion rates between AUD and USD on Binance, I lost like 15 grand. So the exchange, I actually made a profitable trade, but the exchange screwed me over. And that was only present on Binance during that period of time. And from that point onwards, I never trust Binance again. I will never use Binance again. Binance is a terrible exchange. So sign up to BitGet. Half the fees are actually more than that. 5 times lower fees than Binance and non-KYC. Sign up to BitGet. Use my referral link. Anyway, here we go. Zexal, that's not true. BitGet is a scam. That's the only sad part. They have the worst liquidation engine. They take 20-40% margin, much worse than anything else around. Simply not true. Anyway, what else can I say? If you're interested in learning how to trade, I'm just going through shills here. So you guys don't need to stick around for this if you're not interested. I'm just shilling stuff. The Crypto Academy. If you want to learn how to trade, man, Crypto Academy is the way to do it. Yes, you can learn online. Yes, you can learn using books and podcasts. You can certainly do all of that. If you want to learn how to trade from the Wolf of Crypto himself, man, and Megawell Crypto, in a structured course, if you want structure in your life, if you don't want to just like hunt for information randomly, structured course with questionnaires to make sure you're retaining knowledge, PowerPoints, whatever, videos, go ahead and check out the website, cryptoacademy@gmail.com. And if you want to become a VIP, click on the join button below the video right now. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to end it there. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the live stream. I'll potentially be doing another one tomorrow. And the Bitcoin video from the live stream will be coming out later today. Cheers, guys.